Did you ever invite a bunch of people to your house or some type of party and all of a sudden a bunch of bad things happen shortly after? The next day, a week later? Maybe you invited a friend you haven't seen in a long time to your house and all of a sudden your husband or your wife didn't feel like talking to you for a few days. Did you ever hear about relationships that ended because a friend destroyed it? These types of things happen on a regular basis. But what does that have to do with Jewish intimacy? Well, tonight, the Ramban is going to delve into the powers of evil. And all of this has to do with Bilaam. Bilaam, the biblical figure that had direct connection to evil. Evil that's so extraordinary, it affects us until this day. And of course, you've heard some things from different places, from different sources, about angels. Angels that were banished from heaven and are placed after they sinned during the generation of the flood. Is it true? What does it have a connection with Bilaam? What does it have a connection with Jewish intimacy? Everything. And tonight, we're going to learn some of it and be enlightened by the holiness of the Torah like never before. Enjoy, share, support, and be holy. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back here on our Tuesday night Jewish Intimacy series. Tonight's Shiur will be for the Refuah Shlema for Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Avi Mori David ben Esriya, Immorality Doris bat Jora, and Esther bat Sarah, as well as the Atzlacha Rabba of all of the tzaddikim and tzaddikot to continue to watch this and all of the other lectures that we're doing, Baruch Hashem, all the people that support, and B'ezrat Hashem HaKodesh Baruch Hu will bless each and every single one of you. So tonight, just to give you guys a update for anyone that either saw it and didn't understand, or needs explanation, or didn't see it, we have Baruch Hashem, a brand new campaign that we just launched today. It's our High Holiday campaign. This is typically our biggest campaign of the year. And this is one of those campaigns where if you care about all of the work that we do throughout the year, this is the one main thing that we ask everybody to get involved in. Not only to donate generously, because the high holidays are usually the time where not only we raise a largest portion of money for our work and everything that we do, during the year, but it's also the time where people donate the most amount of money for the high holidays. Now, one of the things that we have, Baruch Hashem, over the years that has been very, very successful for the people that actually contributed to it, even though it's usually a larger donation, is the special prayers campaign that we have during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, where anyone that wants to get us, myself and Rav Ephraim, to pray for them during the high holidays, either on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, or if somebody wants to buy both, this is the time where those contributions are made. We not only pray for them throughout the entire holiday, throughout every opportunity that we have, but we also, before the holiday usually, we send a private video customized to each and every single person with a blessing for them and their family or whoever else they want us to include. And although this all sounds nice, I want to take it a little more seriously to make sure that you guys understand, because the people that usually contribute come back. And the reason why they come back is not because they have extra money that they just feel like throwing away. It's because it works. One of the things that we learned from the Torah is that there's a significance of privileges in Shamayim for people that are called Mezakei Rabim, people that do Kiruv. And the Mishnah in Masechet Avot, in chapter 5, Mishnah number 21, says, Kol Mezakei et Rabim en chet ba'al yado. Anyone who influences the masses to become meritorious shall not be the cause of sin. And this, the Rambam says, anyone that gets people to do tshuva by teaching them Torah and Yirat Shamayim, and fear of Hashem, influences them to perform the Torah, is a person that's considered the Mezakeh Rabim, and Hashem will give that person a special privileges, special protection. In fact, in the Sefer Daniel, in the book of Daniel, it talks about how HaKodesh Baruch Hu calls those people the stars, where everyone else, even the people that are Talmidei Chachamim, even the people that are righteous, they're all below those people. Why? Because these are, in essence, the people that are bringing HaKodesh Baruch Hu's children back home. Children that have been lost, children that may be religious but not really religious. People that are not religious at all but don't realize the significance of it. All of these things have a special value to such an extent that the Chovot HaLevavot, written nearly 1,000 years ago by Rabbeinu Bechayeh, says that even if someone has Torah and mitzvot like Moshe Rabbeinu, he's still not going to be at the level of someone that's a Mezakeh Rabim. Now, the extraordinary thing here is that we have a Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin in Perek Chelek, where the Talmidim of Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos ask him, what will we do in order to protect ourselves from the difficulties of Mashiach? Because obviously the time of Mashiach, for those that are aware, is not going to be an easy time. There's something called Chevlei Mashiach. Which, even though it's not our issue of the lecture today, this is something I wanted to bring out for people to understand. There's a lot of difficulties that we see in the world today, and this is nothing in comparison to what will happen before Mashiach officially arrives. And even to the extent that the sages of the Gemara were petrified of it. And the Talmidim of Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenos asked him, what can we do to protect ourselves from Chavlei Mashiach, from the difficulties of Mashiach? And he says, Torah and Gemilut Chasadim. Deal with Torah, make Torah your business, meaning study Torah and apply it to your life, and make that your priority in life, and do a chesed. What's chesed? What's chesed? The biggest chesed, the biggest kindness that a person can do in this world is to get another Jew to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and do tshuva. There's nothing greater than that. Not even learning Torah, not even anything else that somebody could consider can be compared to this. Why? Because even if somebody does a nice thing or learns a lot or anything like that, it's never compared to bringing one of Hashem's lost kids that's been lost for the last 3,000 years back home. Now, one of the beautiful things that we have in our organization is that we have both Torah and Zikuy Rabim, because we have our kollels, we have our avrachim, and we also have our kiruv that we do around the world. Our lectures reach every corner of the world, Baruch Hashem, in multiple languages, and Baruch Hashem continuing to grow. But of course, we always want to do even more. And one of the things we took upon ourselves last year at the major Siyum event, anyone that saw it, it's a 3-hour event where Gdolei Israel, including the Rishon LeZion, Rav Yitzchak Yosef, the number one Dayan in the world, Rav Yaakov Zamir, Rav Gidon ben Moshe, all of these Gdolei Israel joined us in this monumental event. We took on something that we had no idea how we're going to do it. We just knew that we need to do it. And that is get a group of Avrachim, a group of Bachurim that are going to show the world how much Torah you can truly learn, even if your study schedule and work schedule and life schedule is busy, by following the set regiment that Rav Ephraim put together and completing the entire Talmud Bavli in a single year. And Baruch Hashem, at the event itself, we had 17 Bachurim sign up, many more signed up throughout the next 30 to 60 days that we were there. And Baruch Hashem, in the next couple of months, right after the holidays, we're having our annual event. And this is going to be the biggest event we ever had, where there's going to be 3,000 siyumim, which include, several dozen people that have completed the entire Talmud Bavli in a single year. It also includes a few dozen young kids, younger than 13 years old, that took upon themselves to complete the entire Mishnah in a single year, and many, many other siyumim, literally 3,000 siyumim in a single night. Siyum Masechet, Siyum Zohar, Siyum of the Shas, all of these major things that many times people never merit to do any of them, needless to say, to do them in a single year. And this is all being completed in a single year. Each one of them is going to get a financial assistance from the organization that we've already committed to, significant one that actually makes life a whole lot easier. But on top of all of this, this also is an opportunity for us to help these Avraham and many other poor Jews financially for the holidays. So, while we have the Kiruv work that we've done throughout the whole year, we also have the Torah that we're constantly producing more and more of, and last but not least, the Chesed to feed the poor people in Israel. This is all done during this time of the year, and we have a major event coming up. So tonight's first thing that we want to bring up is the fact that this year we have an extra bonus for anyone that's willing to stretch and push themselves further to become one of the donors, either for the even just a single masechet if they can't afford it, or they want to have a masechet with that personal blessing that I mentioned, or they want to actually show up to the Bet Din of heaven during this Rosh Hashanah, during this Yom Kippur, during this Judgment Day with a Siyum Shas under their belt, as if they completed the Shas themselves during this last 12 months, something that many people will never do in their life. You could actually do it. In addition to getting to the regular blessing, and most importantly, this is something that will allow a person to be partners with us in helping all of these poor Jews and helping us, help Am Yisrael, help the world, bring more truth to the world. And this is a big thing that I think that it's important for every single person to push themselves extra to do this more than anything else that we've done in the past, just simply because it's an opportunity that I cannot promise to you will ever happen again. It's just that big. It's just something that's not normal. It's not normal to get dozens and dozens of Avraham to commit the entire year to completing the Shas in a single year. It's not normal to get 3,000 siyumim in a single night. It's just not one of those things. It's not something you're going to be able to get in any other organization ever. Simply put, because it's just never been done before. And now, one of the big things that we have, aside from this campaign, you probably see this poster or something similar to it. This is the campaign. Is also we published some of the recent results that we have, or at least up to now, results of the organization. And one of the reasons why we do this each year is because we want to make sure that our partners, our donors, our talmidim know where their money is going. Unlike, everybody else that, says a lot, does a lot, we want to show a lot. We don't want to just say a lot and do a lot. We actually want to show you what these results are. And I could tell you from my experience and a little bit of knowledge about the whole Torah world, I don't know of anybody else, any other organization on planet Earth that produces dollar for dollar what we've produced over these last few years. This is nothing to be arrogant about. It's simply siyata dishmaya, HaKodesh Baruch Hu helped us, and we made every sacrifice that we can possibly make in order to make it happen. Producing nearly 300 films, publishing 32 books, our own books, not just putting our name by donating $400 a month to somebody else's book. Actually producing, writing, and publishing 32 of our own books, giving out 154,000 books for free. Even the biggest publishing houses in the world do not give these types of books for free. Nobody gives books for free. And if they give a few hundred. Recently, the Kiruv station team told me that another organization came by and started giving out some of their books for free. And I was very, very happy. It's very good. It's encouraging other people. What saddened me was that they stopped after a couple of hours and never came back again. They gave out, 30, 40, 50 books, and that's it. Giving out 154,000 books is not a cheap endeavor, and it's certainly not something that is done. It's just never been done before. I don't know if it ever will be done, but I can tell you for sure that anyone that wants to do such a thing has to be completely committed to HaKodesh Baruch Hu, to his children, and most importantly, to have bitachon in HaKodesh Baruch Hu and his Torah. We also have fed over 160,000 people over these last several years. Each year, during Pesach, the high holidays, throughout the year, we help a lot of people eat, make sure that they have, groceries, food, all types of things. And you guys have seen many of the videos that we've produced over the years to actually show you the people that are getting this food. Over 160,000 people have eaten, and this is really, if there are organizations that that bring in millions and millions of dollars with just the food part, to feed 100,000 people. You have here 160,000 people have eaten. 154,000 books have been given out for free. 32 books have been published, and Baruch Hashem, there are several others in the works. Nearly 300 Torah films. And then on top of all of it, we have 1.4 million USB CDs and cards that have been given out for free. Even if you buy a USB or a CD on the internet that's blank, it's still going to cost you $5, $10, $20, and sometimes more. You have all of the work that we've done over the last 10 years on these USBs given out for free. And this is something that, again, unheard of. Last but not least, as of course you all know, 12,000 video and audio lectures, mostly video lectures, available online in about 14 different languages for the world to watch for free. So between all of, any one of those things or all of them, you simply can't compare it to any other organization, even the ones that are 10 times bigger than us or 100 times bigger than us. And we need your help in order to magnify it even more. And that's one of the things that I always want people to understand. That these types of campaigns, they're not to line my pockets. I just spoke to one of my employees earlier today, and I told him, he was talking about money, and he was concerned about the future. I told him, you don't have to worry about the future. If you have everything that you need today, Bezat Hashem, HaKodesh Baruch Hu will also worry for you tomorrow. And don't worry about money, because right now, currently, you're making more money than me, because everybody in the company makes a salary except me. How do I live? Baruch Hashem, live with a whole lot more than what I could ever imagine. Simple. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides that He's going to give me in different ways, in whatever ways that He wants. I don't have to take a salary. And this is not the point. Don't donate because of me making a salary or not making a salary. Don't donate because of the CDs or the books or feeding the people. Donate because you believe in not only everything that we've done, but everything that we can do. And a savvy investor is one that is going to donate their money, is going to invest their money wherever they see they're going to get the best possible results. And one of the reasons why we do this, why we show these numbers, is because we want to show everyone what we've done to give you an indication of what we can do in the future. So this is the time where we need as much of your help as possible to push yourself more than you typically do. If you typically donate a couple $100, donate 1,000. If you could afford the 8,000, 15,000, 50,000, whatever you could afford, this is the time to do it, because this is going to be the help that we have to get this major event, to help all of these Avraham, to feed these people, and perhaps Bezat Hashem one day to get that building that we've been wanting to build here in the United States, to build a community. But all of these things require millions of dollars. If not now, then when? With that being said, we have, Baruch Hashem, a monumental shiur in front of us that I believe is going to give people a very different perspective on the small stuff. Because many times, if a person is tuning in to our lectures for the first time, if they're not, a person with the right ashkafa, they may feel like maybe we're sensationalizing things, making things bigger than what they are. What's the big deal if I look there? What's the big deal if I touch there? What's the big deal if I take this or if I say this? And, this is the common mentality in the world today. And this is one of the things that the Ramban has been, peeking into or delving into from here, in each and every single lecture to a certain extent. But now we're going to go to the deepest part of it. Now, I'm sure that at least some of you have heard the term looks that can kill. Now, of course, the secular mentality is thinking about, using that statement, to think about forbidden things. But there is a truth to those words. There is a truth to those words, and this is one of the things that the Ramban has been trying to teach us over these last several months about how important it is to have a clean mind, a clean stomach, a clean mouth, a clean soul, a clean everything in order for us to achieve the ultimate holiness in our intimacy. But there are always going to be family, friends, colleagues, peers, whoever it is that are going to tell you, come on, this is too much. It's too much. Why are you overthinking it? Just do whatever you can. Do the best you can. Or like I saw today, somebody saying, listen, if you are a calm person and then you're the most religious person. This is obviously silly foolishness, but it's important for us to understand that this type of mentality is the norm. You know, as long as you don't kill people, as long as you don't lose your mind, at least not in public, as long as you don't do things that are against the law of the land, then, you're religious. We know that this is obviously different than what the Kadosh Baruch Hu says. But what can we do about the fact that there are endless amount of people that say, it's just not a big deal. I don't believe it's just as a big deal. Now, when the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, page 33a, says that when a Jew curses, uses foul language, Jewish men, young men, die. Jewish soldiers die. Now, if a person is not religious, this sounds completely ludicrous. And even if they are religious, but they're not a Talmid Chacham, this sounds ridiculous. It sounds too much. What do you mean? Because Shimon over here used foul language, then this guy, Reuven over there, is going to die from, the hand of Esau, from the hand of the enemy? Why? Like, what did he do? It's too much. There must be some type of, parable, analogy. No, but it's not. In fact, Rav Chisda says that when a person is menavel peh, uses foul language, at that moment, HaKodesh Baruch Hu sends special angels to Gehinnom to dig him a deeper Gehinnom. Or her, a deeper Gehinnom. They already have a place reserved for them in Gehinnom because of the damage that they're causing because of the foul language. Now, this is not just a saying of the sages. This is from our Torah. The prophet Isaiah brings to us in chapter 9, verse 19, where he says, verse 17. Al ken al bachurav lo yismach, Adonai ve'et yetomav ve'et almenotav lo yirachem, כי כולו חנף ומרע, וכל פה דובר נבלה, בכל זאת לא שב אפו ועוד ידו נטויה. Here HaKodesh Baruch Hu is saying to the prophet in chapter 9, verse 16, therefore my Lord shall not rejoice over their young men, and he shall not pity their orphans and widows, meaning people are dying, for they are all hypocritical and evil, and every mouth utters degeneracy. Yet despite all this, his anger has not subsided, and his hand is still outstretched. And the verse continues in 17, for their wickedness will burn within them like the fire. It will consume thorns and weeds, and will kindle the branches of the forest. They will be overcome by the intensity of the smoke, by the wrath of Hashem, master of legions. Here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows us a sample of his wrath, where it says, the people has become like fuel for a fire. They have no mercy for one another. Why? Why such wrath? Why such wrath? Ask the sages. And the Gemara says it all started with a degenerate mouth. It all started with people that say foolishness. People that have despicable language. And a person is going to say, yeah, but it seems like too much. It seems like God is overdoing it. You're telling me that if Reuven uses foul language, then Shimon is going to die? How? It seems like overbearing. Who can stand up to such a thing, to such standards? The Maggid Dubno, alav shalom, explains it in a very extraordinary and powerful story. And he says there was once a burglar, a thief. And lo pachot v'lo yoter, no more, no less. What did he want to rob? He wanted to rob the king's palace. So, of course, scouting the place, and he sees there's, soldiers everywhere. He can't enter through the front. There's soldiers next to the windows. There's soldiers next to the doors. There's no way to enter in a regular place. So, you know what? What I'll do is I'll go on the roof. I'll go on the roof, and I'll get through the palace through there. This burglar climbs the palace, gets on the roof, tries to get in different places. Everything is either locked or has a guard right next to it. There's no way for him to enter. He gets so upset, he doesn't know, what am I going to do? I got to get something here. He says, oh, you know what? Hey, look. There's a nail. There's a nail sticking out from the roof. Let me at least take the nail. At least I got something. I didn't make this whole trip for nothing. And he takes one of his tools and starts pulling on the nail, pulls on the nail, pulls on the nail. Finally, it frees up, but as soon as it frees up and it's in his hand, he hears, "Tah!" inside the building. He has no idea what happened, but literally within seconds, he's surrounded by the king's guards. All of them have their weapons out, and they're about to chop off his head. They arrest him immediately and bring him in front of the judge. And the judge says, for the violation that you have made, you are getting a sentence of life in prison. Life in prison? In a dungeon? With killers? With murderers? For what? I just got a nail. I didn't kill anybody. The judge says to him, you fool. What you don't realize is that nail was connected to the chandelier that was on top of where the king usually is. Fortunate for you, the king wasn't there at that moment. Because if he was, you would get the death penalty. But the fact still remains that your act caused extraordinary damage and could have even killed the king had he been there, and therefore must have a severe punishment. It's not just a nail. Your problem is you didn't think it through. You thought it was just a nail. And therefore, you didn't realize what that nail is connected to. When a person looks at things from a superficial perspective, and he looks at the statements of the Torah, needless to say, he looks at the statements of the sages that elaborated on every single aspect of the Torah, both from the simple meanings to the hidden meanings to the secret meanings. A person that's looking at it superficially doesn't understand what's the big deal. What's the big deal if you drive on Shabbat? What's the big deal if you eat pig? What's the big deal if you act immodest? What's the big deal if you are an adulteress or an adulterer? What's the big deal if you have somebody else in your mind while you're intimate with your spouse? What's the big deal? Says the Ramban, it's a very big deal. In fact, we've learned the power of the mind over the last few lectures, but tonight we're going to see how truly looks can kill. And when the sages tell us to be careful when it comes to modesty and protecting our eyes, they weren't really suggesting it. They were giving you a life reserve, where if you want to have a heaven, you have to protect your eyes. If you want to have a healthy marriage, you have to protect your eyes. If you want to have happiness, success, good health, an extraordinary eternity, all the good things that people cry for on Yom Kippur, cry for on Rosh Hashanah, you have to do these things. You have to protect your eyes. You have to be modest. You have to protect your mind and not allow yourself to tune in to all of these filthy shows that are on the internet or on television, all of these filthy billboards, filthy newspapers, and sometimes even filthy friends. A woman that invites her girlfriends to the house, even if they're all modest, while her husband is home, doesn't understand what looks kills means. Doesn't understand how looks can kill. She doesn't understand. Why? She's inviting several women to her house while her husband is home, perhaps even inviting him to sit down with them, to have coffee with them. She wants to go on a triple date. Go with a bunch of girls out, and she wants to bring her husband along. She thinks it's a good idea. Why? Everybody gets along. He laughs with them, they laugh with him. What's the problem? A guy brings his wife to his social gathering with his guy friends. And he has no problem that his wife is talking to all of these different men. He doesn't understand what looks kills means. He doesn't understand what that means. Why? Because right now, he's killing his marriage. She's killing her marriage, but they don't realize it. Now you say, whoa, this sounds extreme. How could such a thing happen? What? Tell me that you have to, what, live in a cave and never see anyone? No, I'm not saying that. Certainly there are times that people need to socialize, but there is socializing, and then there's being socialite. There is things that are allowed, and things that are simply foolish to do. Even if it's not an outright violation, it certainly can bring a lot of problems to a person's life. Now, anytime a person is a free-for-all type of person, where they're nonchalant about things, they talk to their secretaries and female co-workers, or she talks to her male co-workers like their buddies and their friends, and they give high fives to each other, maybe even grab a coffee or lunch together just to talk about all types of things. These types of people don't realize what looks can kill mean. They don't realize what it means. Why? Because they're thinking, what? I'm just going out with a colleague. I'm going out with a friend. I'm going out with my assistant. I'm going out with my neighbor. What's the big deal? The big deal is that what you see is what you end up thinking about, whether you like it or not. Your eyes are windows to your soul. And if you allow everything into those windows, don't be surprised if some of the things that enter are not really welcome, especially during a time of intimacy. Now, where do we see a little bit more depth from the Torah about this? The Ramban has already told us and warned us that although this segment, ending the 5th chapter, doesn't seem like it's really relevant to Jewish intimacy, it is certainly something that is necessary for us to know more now than ever before. And he says as follows: the power of the accursed Rasha, Bilaam, emanated from this concept that was said of him in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 6, whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you would curse will be cursed. And therefore he desired to meditate deeply on Am Yisrael in order that his thoughts adhere to the upper realms and that evil thought will be drawn down from upon them. First and foremost, we have to understand who we're dealing with here. Why is Bilaam, who is the greatest prophet, most powerful prophet that the Goyim ever had, so much so that the Gemara in multiple places says that Bilaam had a ability that even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have, where it says no other prophet was like Moshe and no one will ever be like Moshe, it always ends up the statements with in Israel, meaning no other prophet was like Moshe in Am Yisrael. But among the nations, they had Bilaam. Bilaam had a power that even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have. What is this power? The Gemara elaborates on it, saying that Bilaam knew the moment during the day where HaKodesh Baruch Hu brings judgment to the world. And we've mentioned this many times in our shiurim, each year in the parasha. But tonight, we're going to actually clarify what that means, b'siyata d'shmaya. What does that mean that he knew the moment that Hashem is angry or that he passes judgment on the people? What does that actually mean as far as the play-by-play, the details? What does that actually mean? And how does that Gemara, that part of the Chumash, apply to me, apply to you, apply to every human being on planet Earth? Bilaam, despite being a prophet, was a wicked, despicable, disgusting person. That's why he's called a Rasha. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, Perek Chelek, says that Bilaam is among those that have no share of the world to come, and he goes to Gehinnom forever. In Masechet Gittin, page 55, shows a seance that Onkelos, the righteous convert, did before he converted. And he brought up 3 neshamot, 3 souls that were in Gehinnom, to ask them, who is the one that is in a position of, in a good place, in a position of power in the real world? They all answered, Am Yisrael is the righteous among Am Yisrael. One of those neshamot was Bilaam. And Bilaam, the Gemara says, Onkelos asked him, where are you now? He says, I'm in the 7th level of Gehinnom, being boiled by seed, boiling seed. Why? Because I promoted immorality by being married to a donkey, and also by sending immoral, immodest, non-Jewish women to sin with the Jewish people. And for that, causing the public to sin, just like the one that helps people do tshuva gets endless reward, the one that causes people to sin gets endless punishment. Their punishment never ends. Literally. And Bilaam is still there. And the Gemara says that he was a supporter of murder, tried to kill all of Am Yisrael, has no share of the world to come, was a filthy, disgusting person, and every other horrible thing you can possibly say about him is true. And it's still not enough. But yet he was given a power that nearly killed all of Am Yisrael. How could such a thing be? How could such a thing be? A person that's so filthy, despicable, disgusting, a sinner of all sins, have the ability to actually destroy Am Yisrael, and in fact, an ability that people today could also acquire to obviously, their extent, and destroy marriages, destroy relationships, destroy happiness, destroy a life with the same exact ability, just in a lower level. Not a nation, a family. Not a community, a personal friend. Same exact ability, just in a lower form. Even if they're sinners, even if they're filthy, disgusting people, even if. How could this be? The Chachamim teach us that as powerful and horrifying the punishment is, the wrath of Hashem is, whether it's Gehinnom, Kafakela, suffering in this world, the cancers, the AIDS, the different diseases that don't even have names, as powerful as those are, the good is 5 times greater, 500 times greater. The good that Hashem gives, the righteous ones, in this world and the next, is 500 times greater. So while the wrath, the horror, the disgusting, terrible, the good is 500 times greater. In fact, the complete destruction that Bilaam wanted was only restrained because of that, where HaKodesh Baruch Hu got involved. As the Gemara in Masechet Succah, page 52, says that the power of the Satan, the angel of death, who is also the evil inclination, is so enormous, so powerful, that if not for HaKadosh Baruch Hu helping us, we simply would not survive a single day. Because he wants to, the Satan wants to, kill all of us, spiritually and physically. And if not for HaKadosh Baruch Hu saving us every single day, we wouldn't survive 2 seconds. Bilaam knew this. Bilaam knew the power of the wrath. Bilaam knew how to use his ability to go into not the place of good that Hashem has. Endless blessings, endless sustenance, endless beauty, endless holiness. No. He connected to the kochot atumah, the places of impurity. And let yourself not be fooled to think that those powers of impurity are from a foreign place, like some of the Gentiles think, that the Satan is some type of enemy of God. No, he's not an enemy of God. He's a servant of God. He was given a role. He was given a position. Everything is created by God. Everything was created by Hashem, including the impurity, including the horrible things. That's also a creation of Hashem. And there's a certain section in the heavens where those powers are there. And Bilaam, says the Ramban, desired to meditate deeply on Israel in order to adhere his thoughts to the upper realms, to allow the evil thought that he had connect to the power of evil and bring it down on Am Yisrael. And therefore the Torah says in the book of Numbers, chapter 24, verse 2, and Bilaam lifted his eyes, and he saw Israel, dwelling tribe by tribe. Meaning that here we're not seeing that Bilaam just wanted to curse. No. We're seeing that Bilaam had a system. And the system was that he asked Balak to bring him to a place where he can see the enemy, being Israel. Bilaam is the same one that told Paro, he was one of his advisors, to kill every firstborn child from the Jewish people. Bilaam is also the arch enemy of Moshe Rabbeinu, who told Paro, you should kill this little kid, or else he's going to take control. Bilaam has been the arch enemy of Am Yisrael. And here he has the perfect opportunity. He's being paid $1 billion in order to destroy his own enemy. But he says it can't be done just by simply me praying for it. No. I have to see them. Once I see them, I can connect that vision to that thought of evil that I have, and then elevate that thought to the upper heavens. What is this like? Exactly what Rabban Yochanan was doing, we spoke about last week. Rabban Yochanan was sitting in the front of where the mikveh was, connecting his mind through holiness to the upper heavens, bringing down the holiness and allowing the holy Jewish women that are going to the mikveh to benefit from this sight, benefit from this holiness. Bilaam was doing the same thing, just in a different division. Think of it as connecting a pipe. You have a 2-story building. You have a certain amount of stuff in the second story that you want to bring down to the first. So you take a pipe and you connect the second story to the first story, to the first floor. Whatever you put in that pipe goes down to the first floor. Bilaam, in order for him to do that, he had to first see his target in order to aim where this is going to come. He has an evil thought. He's looking at the target. And now he's elevating that thought to the place of impurity, which we will elaborate on in a moment. He's elevating that thought to the place of impurity above, where there are supernatural powers are the norm, and then he brings those supernatural powers down to earth, and whatever evil thought that he has comes to life. If that evil thought is to kill somebody, that comes to life. If that evil thought is to hurt somebody, comes to life. Whatever that evil thought is that he has, turns into an actual action. Just like the sages would literally resurrect the dead that way, would literally bring all types of miracles in front of people, as Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai once had his students come to a place where there was a valley, and he knew that they saw that one of the former Talmidim who left the yeshiva went and made a lot of money, and they became a little jealous over it. And he says, if you want money, come, I'll take you. I'll show you money. He took him to a big valley, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai connected his mind to the upper heavens, to the place of holiness, and he said, valley, valley, bring me some gold. And all of a sudden, the entire valley was full of gold. The Bachurim jumped. Oh, everybody's taking. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says to them, just so you know, you can take as much as you want, but whatever you take is going to be taken from your Olam Haba. meaning your reward in the next world will be lowered. Because you're benefiting from the supernatural here. You're allowed, but there's a price. All of his Talmidim with Tzadikim, no one wanted it, everybody put back. And they realized that this gold is worthless in comparison to an eternal world of good. Bilaam, on the other hand, he connected to the place of Tum'ah. He connected to the place of Tum'ah, and he wanted to bring it down to this world. Now, we have to elaborate on what that means. The Mishnah in Masechet Avot, in chapter 5, Mishnah number 22, happens to be just a next Mishnah after the Zikuya Rabbi Mishnah that we read earlier today. And this Mishnah says as follows. Shlosha dvarim acharim umitamidav shel Bilaam. He starts off by saying there are three traits that the disciples of Avraham have, and there's three traits that the disciples of the wicked Bilaam. What are these three traits of the wicked Bilaam and his disciples have? What are these? Ayin ra'a, ruach gvo'a, v'nefesh rechava, talmidav shel Bilaam harasha. Those who have an evil eye, an arrogant spirit, and a greedy soul are the disciples of the wicked Bilaam. So here we have a perfect recipe of what makes a person a disciple of Bilaam instead of a disciple of Avraham, who's the exact opposite. But what does it mean, an evil eye? What does it mean? His eye has a tattoo on it saying evil. Now there is Ayin Hara, and then there's Ayin Ra'a. Ayin Hara is a supernatural force where someone can look at something, even if it's their own thing, and bring a bad fortune on it. She looks in the mirror and says, wow, look how beautiful I am. And the next hour, all of a sudden, she has a big zit appearing on her face. All of a sudden, somebody insults her. Things, why she brought it on herself. Sometimes a person can bring it on themselves. Needless to say, somebody can bring it on other people. Oh, wow, you have such a beautiful house. 20 minutes later, something breaks in the house. A picture falls. All types of things. This is a supernatural force, but this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about not Ayin Hara, Ayin Ra'a, evil eye. What's evil eye? Evil eye, Rabotai, stems from a different place. Evil eye stems from an evil place. What is this evil place? Rabbeinu Yonah says those who have an evil eye have an insatiable appetite for wealth, all types of lusts, and that appetite develops into jealousy, which causes them to begrudge other people. She sees that her sister, her brother, her best friend, her neighbor, her classmate just got married to a really wonderful guy. And she hates it. She's not happy for a friend. She'll smile like, oh, wow, mazel tov, but really inside her heart, she's eating her heart out. She's eating her heart out. Psh, why did he marry her? I'm better than her. Why didn't I do it? Why didn't he do this? Why not? And all types of things. A woman can be married. Not as happy as she would like to be, but she's married, she's got a couple of kids. Everything looks fine. A friend just moved into the neighborhood, invites her to the house. Hey, come. Want to come for coffee? Sure. She comes to the house. They haven't seen each other in a few years. And she comes to the house, sees, wow, look at this house. Look at this chandelier. What is that? $5,000 chandelier. What is that? $10,000 in paintings. What is that? $50,000 rug. And then the Malach HaMavet comes and he sends the husband. And the husband comes in and he sees his wife and there's a genuine look of happiness. Oh, hi, honey. How are you? How was your day? I missed you today. Here, look, I got you something. It's this new chocolate store. Nice, kosher, beautiful chocolates. I figured you like chocolate, so I bought you a chocolate. The wife is happy. Oh, my dear husband, thank you. And the friend that's visiting, eating her heart out. What? Chocolate? My husband doesn't get me chocolate. Why didn't he get me chocolate? She got a chocolate. She got paintings. She got rugs. She got chandeliers. Who knows what else she has? And she's upset. Why? Somebody has something that she's jealous of. That is an evil eye. That evil eye, Rabotai Yekarim, happens every day. Happens every day. It happens every day. It happens every day. And it doesn't happen from the enemies only. It could happen from the friends. It could happen from the siblings. It could happen from all types of people that do not have Da'at Torah, that do not have bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that do not understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that decrees every single thing in this world. And if you have, it's because he allowed you to have. And if you don't have, it's because he doesn't want you to have. For all of the accounting and the reasons that he has. But a person that does not have that mindset is naturally going to be jealous of other people. She's going to see her friend's car. He's going to see his friend's store. They're going to see their building. They're going to see a lot of different things. And there are many people that make it a habit to invite a bunch of people to their house and to their community, to their this, assuming that everyone that they're going to welcome is just as nice as them. And then they're surprised that as soon as everybody leaves, they start noticing that the house is falling apart. The kids got sick. All of a sudden, things don't work. No one broke it. It just something happened. It's almost like a demon showed up. But it looked like a human. Now, it didn't have to be everybody that you invited. It could simply be one person with an evil eye. 500 people showed up, all good. One person with an evil eye can destroy your life. Here, Rabbeinu Yonah, 750 years ago, says that's jealousy. You're beginning to understand that what we didn't think is a big deal, perhaps is a big deal. Rashi on the place over there says, Bilaam raised his eyes and saw Israel dwelling according to their tribes, as the Pasuk says, which means that he saw the holiness of Am Israel and how each one of the tribes was separated from the others, each community from the next, and all of their tents were positioned in a way where they were not able to look into each other's houses. Such modesty. Bilaam could not tolerate such humble beauty and holiness, as he was an evil and jealous person who could not control his lust. Hence the reason why he married a donkey. Hence the reason why he sent all of those zonot to go and do what they did with the Jewish people. Because he himself was like that. He couldn't deal with the fact that they were holy. Couldn't deal with these religious people. and his evil eye set on them. Whatever hatred he had until now that he's built over countless years that he was alive, because some say he was really Lavan, that was trying to destroy Am Yisrael already from killing Yaakov. But either way, Bilaam hated them even more now, because now he had even a bigger reason to be jealous. He was jealous of Yaakov marrying the tzadikot. But now look at these descendants of Yaakov. All of them are modest. All of them are pure. Even the wicked among them have to act modest and still have their tents in such a way. Have to act and look a certain way. Even if they're not the most righteous, they have to fit in. Because the majority are tzaddikim. He couldn't stand it. And that's why people that are jealous are dissatisfied and crave for things that are beyond their means. And they're counted as disciples of Bilaam. But if that wasn't it, it would be enough. But the Mishnah says that they also have a ruach gvoah, an arrogant spirit, these disciples of Bilaam. As he was too arrogant to admit that HaKodesh Baruch Hu is the one that told him not to go when the Balak first sent him. He told, no, God told me not to go with you, as if you're not important enough for me to listen to. Send your top generals, maybe I'll consider it. People that are arrogant allow themselves to be jealous, and to them it's justifiable. Look, she has a new car. Why shouldn't I have a new car? Look, she got married. Why can't I get married? Look, he has a beautiful wife. Why can't my wife be as beautiful? Look, they have kids. Why shouldn't I have kids? Look at this and look at that. In so many words, they come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with complaints, not based on what they want because it's good. No, you gave it to them and not me. Why not? I'm just as good as them. I deserve it. As if God owes them something. As if they're in a place where Hashem is indebted to them. And therefore their jealousy, in their mind, is justifiable desire. They're basing their desire by looking at everyone else and making it a shopping list. Their evil eyes become a shopping list of complaints that they have to Hashem. And they don't even realize there's something wrong with it. They don't realize there's anything wrong with it. Look, my friend got married to a millionaire. Why shouldn't I wait until a millionaire comes and approaches me? Look, this guy married the most beautiful girl in a seminary. Why shouldn't I wait until the most beautiful girl comes to me? But if Hashem didn't send you that, and he sends you something else, why don't you say thank you? No, I deserve better. Why? Why do you deserve better? Who owes you this better? Well, he got it. So what if he got it? What does it have to do with you? There's a judge that decides what you get. He sent him this. He'll send you something else. No. I want what he has. Ah, you're an evil eye. Who's your rabbi? Bilaam? No, it's not Bilaam. I keep mitzvot. Keep mitzvot? Yeah, Bilaam also kept mitzvot. Kept mitzvot of the Satan. And a person does not realize how their jealousy is turned into literally something completely normal behavior in their mind. And they don't realize that they're giving an evil eye on anyone that they see. And if that was enough, we would say, okay, dangerous. But it's not. The Talmidim of Bilaam also have a nefesh rechava. Nefesh rechava is a greedy soul. The Mishnah says, these people, the disciples of Bilaam, are people that simply can never be satisfied, and they will stop at nothing to fulfill it. And such people, says the Midrash Shmuel, are obsessed with their lust and can never be satisfied. Here you have one of the most dangerous features of the disciples of Bilaam, who knew that sexual immorality is completely unacceptable in the eyes of Hashem, because holiness begins with the way you treat intimacy, or as the street says, sexuality. When there is no holiness among Am Yisrael, HaKodesh Baruch Hu rejects us. And Bilaam knew this, because he himself was the most immoral person on planet Earth. And therefore, to him, it made perfect sense to go and entice the Jewish people to debauchery, to immorality. In fact, the Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim, Guide of the Perplexed, in the first segment, part 36, that the only time that the Torah describes Hashem's anger with a severe term of af, which means wrath, is when it's provoked by sexual immorality. Whether it be LGBTQ, all of this filth, toeva, or it be adultery, or it be intermarriage, all of this stuff, Hashem constantly talks about how the punishment will be the ultimate wrath. And Bilaam knew this. And he convinced the Moabites and the Midianites to such an extent that they themselves were so convinced that they sent their own daughters to go and sin with the enemy. We're not talking about people that were forced to do it. We're talking about the royalty, the king himself. Send the princess, Cosby. All of the royalty send their daughters to go sin. Why? Because when somebody has a greedy soul that's connected to lust, then they'll stop at nothing to get what they want. Which means that if she has an evil eye that's justified by her jealousy, that desires what she wants and is going to stop at nothing, then that means that there's nothing that will stop her from showing up at your husband's job and seeing if he wants to go for coffee. Yeah, but we're best friends since we were kids. Means nothing. Yeah, but she's my sister. Means nothing. Adultery is most common among people that are the closest to people. It's not usually by strangers. This is the reason why we already learned from Avraham Avinu, who told Avimelech, I saw that there's no place, this place has no yirat shamayim, no fear of heaven, and they would kill me over my wife. Meaning that when a person associates themselves with people that have no fear of heaven, they have to take a certain degree of measure of protection. Why? Who knows what these people are going to do? Either spiritual murder, physical murder, marriage murder, whatever. They'll come up with whatever. This is also for those that are delving into the topic that unfortunately is tormenting communities around the world of pedophilia, homosexuality, all of this immorality, all of this disgusting behavior, all of this abnormal behavior, where an adult rapes a child, torments him for the rest of his life simply because of his momentary lust. Or two males decide that it's perfectly normal if they're married, and they talk about it openly as if it's the will of God, chas v'shalom. These types of things, they all come from the descendants of Bilaam, who have an evil eye that's justified by their jealousy. They see other people that look happy, and they want it for themselves. And they're not happy with whatever they have because they want more. And it doesn't matter what they have because they want more. And if that more means somebody else's husband or somebody else's wife or somebody that's forbidden to them, even more so they want it. As Shlomo HaMelech says, Mayim gnuvim im taku. Stolen water are sweeter, meaning the forbidden is more desirous to them. The more that they desire the forbidden even more than what's allowed, because whatever is allowed, they view it as if it's easy, because they have a nefesh rechava, the world is yours mentality. This world is yours mentality is an unhealthy mentality. And the students of Bilaam that are always jealous and covet because they want more. Bilaam wanted more. What more did he want? He wanted to control the world. He wanted to submit the powers of Kedusha to the powers of Tumah, and then lead the world by saving the Moabites and the Midianites from the enemy, being the Jewish people. He coveted the extraordinary status of the Jewish people so much that it didn't make a difference if they were guilty or not. It didn't make a difference that they were doing the will of Hashem. He wanted to be the lead. Now the Sefer, Panim Yafot, written by Rabbi Yitzchak Horowitz, about 300 years ago. It's one of the disciples of the Baal Shem Tov. He writes that Esau had all 7 powers of Tum'ah. As the word Tameh, which is Tet, Mem, Aleph, has the numerical value of 50. So you had all of them, all 50, highest level of Tum'ah, and there are 7, just like there are 7 powers of holiness, there are 7 powers and levels of impurity. Just like there are 7 days of the week, the 7th day being Shabbat, the 7th year Shemitah. The 7 plays a significant role in the world of holiness, but also in the world of impurity, as there are 7 powers of Tum'ah, 7 names for the Satan, the Yetzer Hara. And Esau had all of them. And anyone who knows how to connect these 7 powers can use it to influence others with the Tum'ah, and literally change reality in a similar fashion than how you can do it in the holy place. But of course, and with holiness, it's more powerful, but it requires a whole lot more to achieve. Now, as a side note, people that are Satanists, they have a sort of a way to get in. and many times their servitude of the Satan, in order to acquire these powers of impurity, requires blood and seed, sperm. But in order to join these different Satanist clubs or cults or whatever it is, many times it requires other things. There was a group in Israel of Satanists where their, system, or I guess acceptance, required a person to kill 9 cats and 1 human being. And there was a wicked person that wanted to join them. He killed 9 cats, and now he had to kill 1 guy. But how do you kill 1 guy without getting arrested, without going to jail? So he decided to volunteer to help old people. There was some type of agency that caters to older people that need help. And he said one day, this weird-looking guy comes and says, I want to help old people. Why? Because his plan was that easiest person to kill is an old person. Nobody's around. To the mercy of HaKodesh Baruch Hu, they followed this guy, realized there was something awfully wrong with him, and how he never volunteered for anything in his life, never did a single good thing in his life, and all of a sudden he wants to volunteer all of his time to help old person. Why? They followed him and they literally arrested him right before he killed the guy. The Sefer Ahavat Chaim. Sefer Ahavat Chaim, unfortunately it's only in Hebrew, but it's an extraordinary double-volume Sefer. It's red. It's one of the most extraordinary sets of books with real stories that literally, it's unbelievable. He has in there a story about a group of Satanists that would get together in the forest, do whatever their ritual was, and the Satan would show up. Some representation of the Satan would show up and teach them all types of things, all types of mystical things, in order to utilize the kochot hatuma, the powers of impurity. One day, a Jew wanted to join them. And what he didn't realize, apparently, was that each time they would get together, before the Satan would teach the people the powers of impurity, to do all types of witchcraft and so on, he would kill 1 person. He would take the neshama of 1 person. And there was like a lottery of who was picked. And when this Jew arrived, he was chosen. And the Satan was about to take his neshama. This Jew started screaming, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, over and over again, to the point that the Satan could not kill him. So he threw him far away and went on to teach these people some of the powers of impurity. And the Sefer Ahavat Chaim says that one of these people, who became like a powerful witch, he decided to take revenge against this Jew that, in essence, made his Satan God unhappy. And he would constantly go after him and try to torment him, until one of the righteous people among the tribes, the Jewish tribes, came and killed him. But it was a whole thing. And these are all real stories. Now, Bilaam knew all of this and more. He knew about the 7 powers of the impurity, and he knew that there has to be a ritual, a system. But he needed help. And he couldn't just get help from anybody, because the other person needed to be on the in, needed to know something or two. And the Ramban says, and therefore this Bilaam Rasha had to examine carefully where to go. And so Balak said to him in chapter 23 verse 13, let us go forth and I will take you to another place. This is due to this wicked man having to scrutinize those upon who his intention was on, for good or for evil, and he would adhere his thoughts above, and he would draw the high divine power upon whoever he would intend and focus upon. And this is what it says in chapter 24 verse 4 of Numbers, who sees the vision of the Almighty will see. And this Rasha required building 7 altars with a bull and a ram on every altar. And this was in order to pull into himself all the powers and the focus from the impurity and focus them into his thoughts so as to manifest his evil desires upon them in all that he contrived. His intent was to counter the good done for Bnei Israel by the 7 altars of the holy forefathers, Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And for this reason, Balak took him to the field of Tzofim, of the observers. What are these Tzofim? What are these Tzofim? For there that evil one observed, that Rasha Bilaam observed them, in order to draw upon them his wicked thoughts. So here we see this text, this ritual, where Balak is paying Bilaam a fortune to go curse Am Yisrael. And all of us know, Bilaam comes, he's taken to a certain place, he looks at Am Yisrael, but instead of blessing, instead of cursing, he blesses. Instead of trying again, Balak says to Bilaam, let me take you to a different place. Why? What's the difference? What's the difference if he's here or is there? Couple of things. First, we see the significant difference between the powers of evil and holiness. The powers of evil require to see before they curse, before they do evil. Remember that for a little later. The powers of holiness don't need to see. We just pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't need to see you in order to pray for you and for good things to happen. As the powers of holiness are 500 times stronger. We don't need to see. Evil, on the other hand, has like a shorter extension cord, if you will. Needs to see. But how does Balak know all this? Bilaam, we know. How does Balak know all this? In the beginning of the parasha, when it describes Balak, it says Balak ben Tzipor. Balak, the son of the bird. Did a bird give him birth? No. So why is Balak called Balak ben Tzipor? That's because Balak himself was an extraordinarily powerful wizard, a witch, who knew enough witchcraft to get a bird to go fly to the Arei HaChoshech, the mountains of darkness. What are these mountains of darkness? These mountains of darkness were the place where all of the tum'ah is, all of the impurity of this world is, and there are certain angels there, evil angels, that teach the secrets of the tum'ah powers, of the impurity powers. Who are these angels? These are the angels Azza and Azael, the two wicked angels that were banished and punished by God during the generation of the flood, where when HaKodesh Baruch Hu asked the angels, should he create man, one group of angels came and said, no, they'll sin. Hashem punished them. He burned them with his finger. Not that he has a finger, but this is what the Midrash says. Another group of angels was asked. They said, yeah, but they won't do your will, and they got punished. Eventually, the next set of angels said, Hashem, you do whatever you want. You don't need to ask us. You're the king. It's your world. Do whatever it is you want with your world. 10 generations passed, and the generation became a generation of degenerates, where the Zohar HaKadosh says that homosexuality became a mitzvah in the eyes of these wicked people. Immorality was a standard. Wasting seed, homosexuality, bestiality. The world was full of impurity and immorality to the point that it was a standard. Two angels named Azza and Azael came to Hashem and said, you see, Hashem, you built a world of sinners. They can't serve you. You should give us the Torah. You should eliminate this world. Hashem said to these angels, you're only saying that because you don't have their difficulties. You don't know what it means to live in that world and have all the impurity that they have to deal with. And they said, nah, even if we were there, we would not do what they're doing. Hashem says, okay, I'll test you. You can go there, and let's see if you pass the test. And these angels came down to the world, and they were called the Nephilim, or their children were the Nephilim. And as you would have it, the Torah says in chapter 6, verse 2, ויראו בני האלוהים את בנות האדם כי טובות הנה ויקחו להם נשים מכל אשר בחרו. And the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were good, and they took themselves wives from whoever they chose. Who are these Bnei HaElohim? Some Midrashim say this was referring to specific rulers, but some Midrashim are talking about, no, these were the angels. These were the angels, Azza and Azael, and they became worse than everybody. These wicked angels became worse than everybody. They started taking people's wives. They started doing things that the world didn't even do until they came. They became worst. The Midrash Haggadah says there was a righteous woman at the time that they want to sin with. And she said, I'm not going to sin with you unless you teach me the Shema Meforash, the name of God. Meaning the name, the holy name that has many letters, and someone that knows how to connect it and utilize it can do things that are supernatural. And the angels obviously knew it. They said, sure. They lusted to sin with her because she was so righteous. They didn't care about what to teach her. They didn't think twice. Sure, we'll teach you. They figured she's just like them. They taught her the name. As soon as they taught her the name, this righteous woman utilized that name to fly up into the heavens and go all the way to the Kisei HaKavod. She begged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, protect me from them. I don't want to sin. I don't want to go against you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so happy with her that he took her image and he made it one of the images of the 12 mazalot. Hence the reason the mazalot, there's 12 of them, and one of them is the Betulah, the virgin. That's the image of this righteous woman. So now, these wicked angels, Azza and Azael, were punished and thrown into this place where the Torah calls it Arei HaChoshech, the mountains of darkness. And over there is all of the different powers of impurity, and whoever knows how to get there, they can acquire different abilities, supernatural abilities, but based on kochot tumah, the powers of evil, of impurity. Balak would send the bird over there through different witchcraft he knew in order to acquire more things, in order to acquire more impurity. And this bird would tell him the future, would tell him all types of things, and that's why they made him king. And he himself knew that in order to utilize this knowledge that he has of the future, that Am Yisrael is stronger in this, he has to defeat them. How can he defeat them? By using someone that has a similar or greater power than their prophet, which is Moshe. Who? Bilaam. But he knew that Bilaam's power required him to see the target, connect that target to his evil thought, elevate that thought to the place of impurity above, not below, and then bring the wrath from above in order to cause damage to whatever he sees. And that's why Balak kept telling Bilaam, let's go and look at them from a different place. Perhaps when you see them in another fashion, it'll develop an even greater evil that you didn't think about before that would help you succeed the next time. So you have here two wicked, evil people, but are not stupid, are not ignorant, are not atheists. Quite the contrary. They know the system very well, but they're simply evil, and that's what they want to do. Now, the David HaMelech tells us that all of this didn't stop with just Bilaam. This is constantly happening. David HaMelech tells us in Tehillim, chapter 37, verse number 32. צופה רשע לצדיק ומבקש לעמיתו. The wicked one watches the righteous and seeks to kill him. The wicked Bilaam is watching Am Yisrael and wants to kill them. But not just Bilaam. any one of his descendants, that have this lust that's uncontrollable, this jealousy, this arrogance, this wide soul that believes it deserves everything and will stop at nothing until it gets it, this uncontrollable lust that feels it must fulfill all of its desires at any price, even if that means breaking a home, breaking a relationship, breaking a friendship, destroying a company, destroying a family, or even a community. None of that will stop them. Even if they're religious, even if they're not religious, even if they're siblings, family members, it doesn't make a difference. Why? The descendants of Bilaam do not see anything other than their own lust. And unfortunately, every one of us has one of these people in their life. How close they are and how close you allow them, that's obviously your choice. But all of us have those people. And unfortunately, sometimes the people that are unaware not only have those people in their life, they invite them over. They invite them into their life. They go to their life. They go to their house, to their places, to their business, to their weddings, to... Well, but it's my cousin. Yeah, but your cousin is Bilaam. If your cousin was Hitler, would you still go to his wedding? Oh, come on, Rabbi, you're being extreme. No. Nothing. You can do what you want. But don't come crying to HaKodesh Baruch Hu that for some reason your husband hasn't looked at you in 5 days since that wedding. Don't come to me when your wife, all of a sudden, she has a headache every month. Chronic headache when you come home. When you're not home, healthy as a bull. You're home, chronic headache. Why? You allowed Bilaam into your life. There's nothing extreme about it. It's a reality. Almost every divorce has this in it. Almost every destroyed relationship has this in it. In business, in marriage, in everything. The descendants of Bilaam are walking amongst society and people don't even realize it. Why? They call them their friends. What? He just has that personality. No, Habibi, it's not a personality. It's a personal preference. Bilaam was not an atheist. Balak was not an atheist. They made a choice. Because they themselves could not control themselves, they connected to the place of evil. And David HaMelech tells us, Tzofer Rasha LaTzadik Umevakesh La'amito. This type of wicked person is not just Bilaam. It's constantly people looking at righteous people, people that are trying to be righteous, people that are doing righteous things, but unfortunately are not being careful enough. And they allow these people in. And they don't realize that these wicked people, they have no problem with killing you. It doesn't always mean physically. They can kill your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your spouse, your job. Oh, you got that new job? Who do you work for? Oh, you work for Steve? Oh, yeah, I know Steve. Oh, he gave you a job? What do you do? Vice President. Wow. Mazel tov. Well, I'm happy for you. 2 days later, she runs into Steve. Steve, I heard you hired Rivka. Oh, yeah, Rivka, she's a nice lady. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say that. What do you mean? What do you mean, I guess? What happened? Something happened between you? No, she never did anything to me. It's just that, there's a reason why she hasn't worked in 3 years. What happened? All of a sudden, she gets fired. Why? The girl that gave you Mazel Tov. She knows Steve. Why? She's a descendant of Bilaam. And you told her where to go. You told her where to go. You told her to go to Steve. Why? You divulged too much information about your life. It's important for people to understand who to communicate with. Just because you know how to talk doesn't mean you need to. Just because you have somebody to talk to doesn't mean you need to tell them everything. Just because you have eyes doesn't mean you need to look. And just because you're looking doesn't mean you need to stare. Just because they invited you doesn't mean you need to accept it. And just because it's kosher doesn't mean you need to eat. It's important for people to know that if you do not know how to control your decisions, you could easily become a victim of Bilaam or a disciple of Bilaam. All depends on how far you go, because usually the ones that become the victims of Bilaam are only a stone throw away from becoming the disciples of Bilaam themselves. Why? Simple. They see how everybody else is terrible. They decide, you know what, might as well be terrible like them. He cheated on me, I'll cheat on him now. They stole from me, I'll steal from them. It's become a standard to steal. It's almost like literally. You have to bring the police to a business deal. Why? Listen, I want to sign a lease, and you said you're going to give me the house. Yeah. What do I have to do? Give you money. Okay. I sign over here. Okay. Fine. So I'm going to sign. Wait, hold on a second. Why is that guy's gun in my face? Oh no, that's just my bodyguard. What do you mean bodyguard? What do you mean a bodyguard to sign a contract? Oh, in case you're a thief. What do you thief? I'm giving you my house. Yeah, that's what the last guy said. He says, give me the house. Then I gave him $12,000. I showed up to the house, and the house has a hole in it. And he says, listen, live with it. I said, no, I don't want to live with it. Give my money back. No, we're not giving you any money back. So just to make sure it doesn't happen, again, I'm going to bring a gun. I'm going to bring a bodyguard. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you people to do this. But this is almost what the world has gone to. That in order to make a simple business deal, to rent a house, to buy a house, to get a car, to do any type of business, you have to almost bring bodyguards and threaten everybody. Because the natural status has become a world of thieves. Hamas, like the generation of Noach. The natural relationship has become a relationship that's based on interest. They're only going to develop a relationship with you if they have an interest in you. What can I get from him? Oh, you want to go out somewhere? What do you want? Oh, why are you like that? Because it's true. You only want to go somewhere with me. You're only calling me. You're only inviting me because you want something. So why don't we just skip all the nonsense? Tell me what you want. Now, you think, oh, why are you being so not nice? It's not nice. It's not nice. It's what the world has become. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. First, we have to understand who to associate with, and even if we associate, how close we bring people, how careful we have to be with our relationship, with our children. Why? The world is full of garbage. But in between that garbage, there's some diamonds. Now, finding those diamonds may take you a lifetime. But it's better. It's better to wait a lifetime to finally find a diamond than to constantly swim in garbage and hope that you survive. Now, of course, at times there's no choice. You have to rent houses, you have to buy cars, you have to do all these different types of things, and you have to deal with people. So how do you deal with it? You simply have to think, what would a criminal do if they were in a position that this other person is in? And you have to be extra careful with yourself. Extra careful with transactions. Extra careful with everything. More than you've ever been. More than you think. Because, unfortunately, today, even though there's an abundance of Torah in the world, And Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of people learning Torah today. There's also a lot more people that are not. And the further people get from Hashem, the more it becomes perfectly fine for them to steal. And we've spoken about this many times. Whether it's the awful, halachically forbidden businesses, forbidden relationships, forbidden everything. We've talked about it many times. But here, Rabotai Karim, the Ramban is telling us that this didn't just simply go away. We're not in Gan Eden right now. We could be, if we're strict with the Torah and follow what it says, which means follow the Torah, fulfill the mitzvot, be charitable, always remind yourself of who gave you everything. Always know that if you have a problem, that means that HaKodesh Baruch Hu loves you and therefore He's giving you a problem so you can fix yourself. Don't complain to Hashem based on what other people have. Don't look at what other people have. Don't care about what other people have, unless you want to help them. You can look into the lackings of others if you are in a position to help them, and you want to help them. But to look at other people that have more than you, just to develop a jealousy, you're allowing yourself to become a disciple of Bilaam. To take advantage of people in any way, shape, or form. You're allowing yourself to become a disciple of Bilaam. To lose yourself and follow every lust that you possibly have. Oh, if he doesn't come now and he doesn't show up, he doesn't take me out, he doesn't buy me this, he doesn't do this, I'm going to do something else. That type of behavior belongs in a zoo. Get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of yourself. Understand, if HaKodesh Baruch Hu wanted you to have something, you would have it. And if you don't have it, that's because He doesn't want you to have it. Whether that's physical or financial or any other pleasure or desire that you have. The way to gain more good from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is by doing more good. Do more good by fixing our flaws, helping other people, getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, further from becoming a disciple of Bilaam, and of course not putting ourselves in danger and befriending the descendants of Bilaam. You see them, walk away if you have a choice. And if you don't have a choice, utilize this information to protect yourself. Now, here the Ramban has given us something that may seem not really relevant to Jewish intimacy, but in fact it is very relevant. Why? And he says so himself. Although the Rasha observed them in order to draw upon them his wicked thoughts, the Holy One, blessed be He, who knows and understands all thoughts, saw his wicked thoughts. And God, whose name is holy, took the authority and power away from Bilaam, and He did not permit the will of the evil Bilaam to be fulfilled. And understand this well, and see how far the power of thoughts reach. Even though this is not the intent of this book, it will help you to fully realize the measure of the power of the imagination and how far it can reach. And thus you will understand the secret of thought and how powerful it is at the time of union. So here, the Ramban finalizes the point by letting us know, yes, All of this may seem like it's not relevant to intimacy, but certainly relevant to life, whether it be business or marriage or parenting, friendship, everything. But it's also relevant to intimacy. Why? Because once you see how powerful the thought of an evil person is, and what it can do, and how developed the world is beyond what you can see, how a thought of a person can be connected to a vision of a person, a sight of a person, can be elevated to certain places either intentionally or unintentionally, that can bring literally evil to the world. Needless to say, if our minds have filth in them, from pornography, from promiscuity, from all types of garbage that's out there, and it's still thinking about it during the times of intimacy, don't be surprised if the fruits that come to this world have horns. And that's why this is all the more so relevant to intimacy, where the Ramban puts everything into perspective by letting us know the things you didn't think are a big deal, like not using foul language, learning Torah on a regular basis and not once in a while, being selective with who you marry based on their religiosity and Jewish ideology more so than their bank account and their looks. These things, many people don't necessarily put that much value into them, but in reality, these are the things that make life pleasant or miserable. And if a person thinks that they are far removed from Bilaam or his disciples, sometimes it's because they don't even know what that means. And they may not even know that they actually already became a disciple. But they've justified their jealousy. They justified their lust. They justified their insatiable desire. To such an extent, to them it's normal. One of the ways that the sages continuously teach us to become holy, as the Ramban, Rashi, and many other sages have discussed this topic, is by simply learning how to control ourselves. No one is saying to control yourself to the point where you become a eunuch, or you become somebody that never gets married, or you go into some cave. No, this is not Judaism. Judaism tells you there are many things to enjoy in this world, and you're perfectly allowed to enjoy them, but just make sure you enjoy them with Torah in mind, with HaKodesh Baruch Hu, your Father in heaven, in mind. If you do that, you could certainly enjoy this world and have an eternal world of good. But if you just simply focus on fulfilling desires, you're only literally a stone throw away from becoming one of the disciples of Bilaam, if not Bilaam himself. Don't allow yourself to become like that, because it is a choice. It is a choice. This, Rabotai, completes the 5th chapter of this Iggeret HaKodesh. Be'ezrat Hashem, the next time we learn this, we're going to begin a new chapter. Chapter 6, which is the 5th path. And just so you understand, everything that perhaps people were expecting when they saw a topic like Jewish intimacy, many of them only got little tidbits of it over the last 30 lectures, but we obviously got a lot of other things we didn't think are relevant, because people thought that it's only about the physicality. the 6th chapter is what everything has been preparing us for. These first 5 chapters talked about preparing the mind, preparing the body, preparing your heart, your soul, your diet, cleaning up all the filth, being careful of whatever filth you allow into your house and your life, running away from impurity and certain things that bring impurity. All of these things are in preparation of the 5th path, which Be'ezrat Hashem, we will have the Siyata Dishmaya to discuss, to learn, to choose carefully what to say and what not to say, and to eventually know and believe that Jewish intimacy is not only holy, but it can be a reality in every Jewish home. Thank you very much for learning with me. May Hashem bless each and every single one of you. Please support the campaigns and all the wonderful things that the organization is doing. And may HaKodesh Baruch Hu bless each and every one of those donors 1,000-fold and more. B'cha v'atzlacha, and we'll speak to each other soon.